Well, hello everyone. Thanks so much for joining me here on my YouTube channel. I'm Karen McDermott-Rolfe, an independent advisor with Creative Memories, and I love to make pretty pages, and I love to find unique uses for our Creative Memories tools, and I love to share those tool techniques with you here on my YouTube channel. So if you scroll through my library of videos, I believe I have 41 videos now, and they're all featuring, a unique technique. So, it's a really great library there, wealth of inspiration and ideas for you. You can find me on Facebook in my Facebook group, Karen's Croppers. I also have a blog where I share layout photos at karencrops.com, and I so appreciate any of your purchases through my Creative Memories website link at creativememories.com/user/Karen, and it's Karen with a Y. Now, last week I shared my monthly technique layout and challenge with you. So I do that once a month where I share a technique and I turn that into a challenge and ask all of you to use the technique to create your own layout and then share it with me and Karen's Croppers on Facebook for an entry into my monthly door prize drawing. So when I did that video last week, one of my sample layouts, I shared two different ones. One of the sample layouts here, I neglected to mention which collection I was using. And so for this layout, I really love how it turned out. I think it's a really great combination of tools here, a great technique. It's giving some movement and different interest to this layout. But I used the Revved Up collection. So this is a great collection that's kind of features motorsports, cars, motorcycles, racing, kind of all along that line. And there's paper, there's stickers, and then there's a few different embellishment packs that are specific to each motor sport. So there's one for classic cars, there's one for car racing, there's one for dirt biking. I believe there's another one too off the top of my head. But anyway, I just wanted to show this again, mention that it's the Revved Up. And if you missed that video last week for my monthly technique layout and challenge, please go back and look for that. The video is titled Fancy Punched Corners, okay? And I demonstrate the technique of how to punch this. And for this one, I use the Hand Tools Border Punch and the Tire Tracks Border Maker cartridge, okay? So I wanted to show you another layout that I made with the Revved Up collection. My husband is a bit of a gearhead. He won't like me calling him that, but he has loved cars, motorcycles, racing his entire life. He's built race cars, he's built race car engines, he has raced dirt track cars himself, he's restored classic cars, he's restored hot rods, he's raced hot rods, he's shown these cars in car shows. So I really wish that we had this collection several years ago when I was scrapbooking the bulk of all of those photos related to that. He has quite a shop, so this is going to be a great layout for some shop photos. But a couple years ago, Gary was involved in a race team. He built the engine for a car that a dirt track race car that did really well for numerous years. Actually, they did really well. One year it was just spectacular. They were the track champs at several different tracks. They won tournaments. They won gigantic trophies and prize money and things. So I do have a series of photographs related to that. So a few of those photos are going to go on this one, showing the racing team and, showing off that big trophy and stuff. But I used two different tools here with a different technique to create this layout. And that's what I wanted to demonstrate to you today. So I used the Gears Border Punch. And this is a chain style punch because when you punch it, it falls right off of the paper. So I punched a circular piece with the Gears Border Punch. So I'm going to show you how to do that. And then I also used that Tire Tracks Border Maker cartridge again. So I used it on my layout last week and I've used it on this one. And I've also punched that in a circle here to create my little dirt track kind of a look here. So I'm going to demonstrate both of those for you. So I'm going to be using just some scrap paper for my demos. These are just the paper inserts. Here's a look at that Revved Up paper. So some great color combinations there, some great patterns that are really pretty versatile, I think. So let's do the gear chain first. We're going to use the custom cutting system with the jumbo cutting pattern, and you're going to use the blue blade. And we're going to cut on the outside edge of this jumbo circle pattern. So make sure both prongs of the blue blade are in the grooves on the circle pattern. Cut around, holding the pattern down so it doesn't slip on you. We're going to give our paper a little shake, make sure I cut all the way through, and then we have our jumbo circle piece. Now I'm going to just open up my punch, and I'm going to use it upside down, and I'm just going to punch around this circular edge. So I'm going to punch once to get it started, shake it out, and I've noticed with this punch, these big pieces don't like to come out. I've had to pick them out every time I've punched. So now I'm looking at the piece here I have, and I've got this partial little gear here, and I have a partial gear on the punch. It is not going to line up perfect, you guys. No matter what we do, it's just not going to line up perfect. But I'm going to try my best to line it up right there at the edge of that and the edge of this. Okay. So I have it, pretty close right there. And then I'm also looking up here to make sure that I haven't gone over the edge of the circle piece. Okay, so I have it halfway engaged to hold it tight. I'm turning it over so the debris falls on my table, and then I punched it. And I am going to have to pull these little pieces out because they're just not coming out. So you'll see here that it just didn't meet up all right. But I'm not going to worry about that. I'm just going to punch all the way around. Continuing doing this, matching it up the best that I can, watching that edge so I don't go over the edge. So all these places where it's not matching up perfectly, we're going to just do a little bit of trimming with the microchip scissors, and I'll show you that. And then we'll take a look at my completed layout, and you'll see what I mean, that it's just not really going to matter that these are not quite lining up perfectly. It lines up good enough, and you really don't notice it. Also, you might recall that we had, a few years ago, Creative Memories, a Gears Border Maker cartridge. So some of you might have that cartridge. It has a very similar look as this chain of gears. It's a little bit smaller scale than this border punch. And you could do this technique using that Border Maker cartridge also. And now we're right here to the middle, and it's not going to match up perfectly. Okay. So that was my last one. Let me clean off my tabletop, and then we'll take a look here. Okay, so here is the circle chain that we punched. And you'll notice all of those little kind of triangular little pieces. So here's the bigger one where it just didn't meet. And I'm not going to worry about that one because that's going to be a great spot for the photo mat. So all of these others, I'm just taking my microtip scissors and I'm going around them and just kind of cutting it out like in a little notch shape. Not worrying about being perfect, making it kind of squarish, following the pattern that was already there. So it's just going to take a minute here to do that. You can do this with designer paper or cardstock. I'd recommend that you stick with the Creative Memories papers and cardstocks when you're using our tools in this kind of a way, because The weights of our paper have been tested with the tools to work well. If you're using a heavier type of paper, you might not get the same results. Okay, so we're back to the big one. So let's set this down and look at it. So now as you look at it, you really just don't notice too much, unless you're really honing in on it. These pieces where the gears just didn't quite match up right. You don't notice that. It just all blends together. It looks like it's just part of the pattern, right, of some random kind of gear pattern. And you can see here on my layout, really, you don't really, notice it too much at all. Just a little bit there. So I like this technique. I thought that looked out really well. I've used paper from the Revved Up collection there that I punched on the red side. And then again, the brown designer paper too for the next punch. So again, I'm going to be using just some scrap paper. We're going to be using the jumbo circle pattern. I'm going to kind of position it down here in the corners to kind of preserve the rest of that paper so I can use it some other time. And now we're going to use the red blade, and we're going to use the inside edge. So again, make sure both of those prongs of that blade are in the cutting groove. Go around, cut out your circle. So that's the red blade on that inside edge. And now we have our circle here. And again, I'm going to use the Tire Tracks Border Maker cartridge. And I'm going to hold this upside down also. And I'm just going to punch all the way around. So punch it once to get started. And then I'm going to look at the pattern here, the pattern down there on the metal, and just kind of, I don't want it right next to each other. I want a little space so they don't run into each other. And I'm just going to go all the way around. So I can see right here, I'm looking through, see the opening there in the metal. I can see the paper and where that pattern was last punched. And I'm just going to go over a smidge from that. Again, this is not going to match up perfectly for us, no matter what we do. But again, in this case, I don't think it matters so much. Now, I made a few little errors right there, and I'm going to point those out when we get done. So I was kind of doing it fast. I was looking into my camera and not actually in front of me. Right here, I'm not even going to punch that because, again, that is going to be in that same spot where we're going to put the photo mat. But when I was talking, what did I do? Right here, see, I got it right on the edge of the circle piece. So I had this arranged a little bit too far over. I didn't have it butted up back there. And right here, I've over-punched those. I remember I said to leave the little smidge when you start. And right there, I ran it together. But again, I don't think it's really a big deal. And then when I use it on the layout, I'll use both pieces kind of like this. Right there and there. And then that's where the photo mat will go to cover up those spots, right? So I could do, some vertical photos. I can do horizontal photos. I could do one big bar across. So there's different ways to arrange your photos. And for this layout, I selected to do the one big bar across because I have some horizontal photos that I'm going to use for this layout. And then I just went ahead and I embellished it using a few of the stickers and then the embellishments from the car racing embellishment pack. Those are stickers up there too. So it came together really quickly and nicely. And I hope you guys give this a try. I hope this provides an idea for you. And of course, this technique can be used with any of our border punches that are kind of a chain style, any of our different border maker cartridges to get different combinations. So go ahead and take a look at the tools that you have and see which ones that you can put together to make a combination that's going to work with your photos and your materials. So again, you could use this technique with other tools and other materials. All right, everybody, thanks so much for visiting with me today.